my front yard garden. When I'm out here, I wanted to show you my flower border. This was all done by seed, and the black-eyed Susans are kind of fading out. They came up on their own just by seed. There's a sunflower there that's never really got a head to it, so I'm not sure what's going on. I might chop it off, but that was seed. A salvia sage is done by seed, just wildflower seeds. But you know, the black-eyed Susan is coming to a close, but then in comes the zinnias. The zinnias are starting to shine. There's one. So a lot of it, this is lantana. That was not done by seed, but the lantana came back from last year. So just one little plant. Marigold done by seed. More zinnias. And the butterflies love them. It's so much fun, especially when the monarchs come through. We have some basil done by seed. Iris is there. Those are perennial. Those stay there all winter. And there's a little, it's called a Stella Date or lily right there. It's not blooming right now though. There's another zinnia. Love zinnias. They love the heat. Another basil. And these little plants are done by seed. Now when I say by seed, most of them I did in little pots. Some of them, like these little zinnias, I spread out on the ground. But some, these big zinnias, I did in pots in the back so I could keep them really moist and grow them up. And then I planted them on a nice cloudy day. The basil I planted by seed here in the garden. Marigolds planted by seed here in the garden. And the sage was planted, just came up from last year. And there's another lantana that came up from last year, but it was not by seed. Just one little plant though. And this is the prettiest color of zinnia that I've gotten so far. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is my good PR for my garden. Keeps it popular with the neighbors. And the pollinators love it. They do it, and it attracts them to my garden. And this is a butterfly weed plant that somebody gave me. They planted in there. Look at those blooms. Those are really going to attract the butterflies. So the way I started out this front yard border was I just put down laid down wooden posts and cardboard and a couple inches of bark mulch. And I just left it that way all winter. I mean, it looked pretty, you know, pretty plain. And the city said, can you plant something in front of your, front yard fence? And I said, oh, I'm going to. It's going to take a little bit. These things don't happen right away. So look at it now. And these sunflowers came up in the garden all by themselves. They're enormous. They got so big before they bloomed. I wondered, when are they ever going to bloom? But they came up in the garden, in the fence, just all by themselves. It's a good lesson though in hybrid seeds. I'm going to show you a hybrid tomato later, so let's talk about that. This is a hybrid sunflower. They always face, look, they're facing backwards. I don't know why. The sunflowers always face back. It must be where the sun is. But this is a hybrid sunflower seed that I got out of a seed packet and I planted here. And then if I took the seeds from this seed head and I planted them in my garden again, it wouldn't turn out like this. This is a dwarf variety. It's not very tall. You can see, I'll back up. It's about as tall as my prophet there. So, but if I took the seeds from that seed head and planted them, they would be something like that. They're not going to turn
anymore.
out.
It's not as tall as me now.
That's right. They're going to turn out not like the mother plant. They're going to revert back to the plant that they were before they were bred, before they turned into a hybrid, bred between two different species for a certain characteristic. In this case, the characteristic of a big sunflower head and not a very tall stalk. So that's a good lesson in hybrid in sunflowers. It works the same in tomatoes. If I plant a hybrid tomato that has certain wonderful characteristics, which I'll show you later, maybe it has the characteristic of disease resistance, or it has the characteristic of blooming early, or really taking the heat. So if I take those seeds from that tomato, save them, and plant them, then they might turn out a cherry tomato. Probably. That's usually what happens. It turns out just a cherry, or it might turn out to be a tomato that just doesn't have disease resistance, doesn't have that characteristic that I bought it for. So I'll show you theirs later. And they're called heirloom tomatoes. You can save the seed to those, opposed to hybrid. And they come out true to the mother plant. Problem is, a lot of heirloom tomatoes are not disease resistant. They don't have some of those qualities that I'm looking for. And so one year I planted all heirloom tomatoes, and you know what I got? Zip. 0 tomatoes for that whole year and all that effort. So I stick with hybrids now for the time being. All right, well that is the front yard garden. And this is my good PR in front. My black-eyed Susans are wearing out. They look spectacular in the springtime. They were amazing. So I will gather all this seed though. I'll just let it die right there on the plant, and then I'll cut some off and put them inside for storage, dry them, and then some I'll just scatter in the garden on the bare soil and just let it overwinter, and then in the springtime they'll come up again for me. And that was just a wildflower packet I picked up at the local plant store. I wanted to show you a little trick in case you're having trouble getting your seeds to germinate. Some of the seeds, like scarlet sage, echinacea, even black-eyed Susan, they need a winter. And so if you're living in a climate that doesn't really have a winter, like Arizona or a climate like that, you can just stick them in the freezer. Stick them in the freezer, take them out, let them thaw, put them back in the freezer, take them out. That way you're simulating a winter. You're simulating that freeze and that thaw, and then you can plant them in little pots so that you can keep them moist instead of out in the garden where it might dry up, not keep moist. Plant them in little pots, and then when they come up and they get a little bit established, then pop them into your garden. That's one little trick I learned recently. All right, so there's the profit, and right here we have Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes, and I mean they really grew out. I'm gonna say my cattle panel was not enough for them, so we're gonna try a little different staking. I'll show you that in a minute, but these look pretty good, so we're thinking about leaving them a little bit longer and seeing if we get a fall harvest. That means taking them through the summer, which is not something that's incredibly easy to do here in Dallas, Texas. In North Texas, tomato season is pretty much over, and best bet is to tear them down, clean them up, plant new ones. So here we went today to North Haven Gardens. Big shout out to them, love them. And they're one of the only nursery centers around here that provides us with little tomato plants in the middle of July. So this is a Sun Gold cherry tomato. This is the one the Prophet picked out because he loves cherry tomatoes. So we're gonna plant the Sun Golds here, and I had pulled out of here a Juliet Roma tomato. They were done, either spider mites got them or early or late blight. I don't know, but look at that. The Prophet's got himself some tomatoes. Thank you. Delicious, really yummy. All right, and the other ones we picked out at North Haven Gardens were Heat Wave 2. And this is a very disease resistant. If you look at those abbreviations there, if you can see that, VFFA. Let's see, verticillium wilt. I'll look up the others. But the more letters it has in front of its name, the more resistant it is to disease. And we've had some problems here with disease because I'm eating this tomato, it's really good. Because we can't rotate that much. I mean, we can rotate to some extent. Every year I rotate my vegetable beds, but it's not that big of a garden. I'm gonna be back to the same bed.
I could really only find 6.
Only 6? Okay. Well, I think, oh, I see some more there.
Where?
Way there at the end. The Prophet is picking the tomatoes, and we've got some green ones on here, so that's why we're thinking we might leave these. So here's my other tomato pen, and look at this. This we think it's a cantaloupe, but we're not really sure. It came up on its own, and it is growing huge. But this is our other tomato bed. So we have to decide, is the cantaloupe going to stay or is it going to go? But we have our heat waves right here. So I'm definitely going to plant those here for a fall harvest. And you know what? Even if they don't get red, we might be dealing with green tomatoes. So what? There's a lot you can do with green tomatoes. Fried green tomatoes. Chow chow, salsa. So there's a lot you can do with that too. So the other tomato I got, so I've got this tomato bed, and you might be wondering, I didn't explain about that. That is shade cloth. Right here I have some bell peppers, and they really don't need that scorching heat of the afternoon. They were shaded by the tomatoes, but now since the tomatoes are gone, they're not shaded, so I put that up. Other things that are happening in the garden besides putting our new tomato plants in is we see how these peppers, they've been shaded by the tomatoes, so I need to get a shade up here because tomorrow they're going to be shocked how sunny it is. But we needed a cage for this one, so Eli's putting that in. Good job, buddy. Excellent. Kind of weave it in there gently. Try not to break it. Here, wait. It's bending down.
Oh, oopsies.
That's okay. No problem. We got it.
Hi.
Okay, so we got that one. And these all have tomato cages too, just to keep them upright. And we've got some beautiful peppers. You can see that. There's one. Just about ready to pick. So, awesome.
This one's about ready to pick too.
Yep.
Sure
is.
One. Oh,
Beautiful.
this one is redder. This one is ready to pick.
Yeah, it is. The Prophet's enjoying a peach. We do not have a peach tree. We wish we did, but we bought these peaches at the local market. So he's enjoying that, and he's going to join us when he's done with that. And we're going to finish our tomato planting adventure. All right, so what we decided to do, we talked about it, me and the Prophet. Shut the door, okay, so Burton doesn't get out. And we decided to go ahead and rip down the Sweet 100s because last year we tried to take them through the summer and it just didn't work. The spider mites got them, they turned brown. And so for the first year, we're gonna start over with all new tomato plants. So we planted, what were these called? Sun Gold. I think they were called Sun Gold. Yeah, Sun Gold hybrid tomatoes. Those are cherries. And then over here, we're going to plant Heat Wave 2. That sounds promising to me. And then the 4th of July. Hey, and don't forget your fertilizer. We're going to need some fertilizer. I have a lot of manure. I have rabbits, chicken, you know, some good stuff. But if you don't, and even I am adding a little tomato fertilizer. And then we're going to plant our 4th of July tomatoes right there, right beside this huge, whatever it is. I came up on its own. I think it's cantaloupe. If it turns out to be pumpkin, I'm going to be really disappointed. Anyway, so that is what we're doing in the garden, getting ready for the second round of tomatoes. Amen. All right, the prophet is digging us a hole for our tomato plants. Good job. That looks perfect. Okay, put the tomato plant in. Just like I taught you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, show us how it's done. So I put it
Nest or
right up
something.
against the wood, that way
It's like these
I always know where it is
roly-polies are.
to check for it.
It's like
Doesn't
these
get lost.
roly-polies are making a nest there.
Are they? Oh, a lot of roly-polies, I know. This is our best garden helper. This is Bert Auguster. He's amazing. I know it's kind of ironic that we let a rabbit garden with us.
Hey, Bert.
We worked so hard to make this rabbit proof, but okay,
Aww.
cover it up. Prophet's got his tomato plant in there and he's gonna cover it up. Perfect. Very nice. We're gonna do the same thing.
Kind of going down right here.
That's okay. I'll probably clip those off. Good job. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Get digging your hole. And we already put some tomato fertilizer in there. And then we'll top dress with some rabbit compost, chicken compost that I have in the backyard. But if you don't have that, don't worry about it. Just get some tomato fertilizer, put it in there. Oh, just put it by the, you know where it goes, right? That's right, right up against the wood there so we can find it. Won't get lost. So this is the first year I'm doing this. Last year I tried to take my tomato plants all the way. They were indeterminate, which means they determine it has a flush of bloom, a flush of tomatoes, and then they're done. Indeterminate just keeps growing and keeps going. But in Texas, it's just so hard. Put a little bit more soil around it. It's just so hard to get it through the heat of the summer and the spider mites. So this year, it's July 9th, I think. We are going to plant new tomatoes all around the garden and see how that works out for us. I'll let you know. Perfect. You did a great job. Woohoo! Okay, so we're planting our 4th of July tomatoes. That's what they're called. It's supposed to be pretty disease resistant and take the heat. So, oh, well, what we need to do, Prophet, wait, hold it up. Let's pinch off some. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna pinch off some right here. Pinch off some. Oh, here, I'll pinch it off because it's hard to do without nails. Okay. Because tomato plants get roots in the lower parts. So we're gonna do the lower branches. Just pinch them off. See how we've done all the lower branches? Okay, now it's time to plant. Straighten it up a little bit. There you go. And it's whole. See? Who says kids can't help in the garden? This guy's got it down. He's doing a good job. He knows how to grow stuff. Well, cherry tomatoes are his favorite thing in the world, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yep. He always runs out in the garden to get some cherry tomatoes first thing in the morning, right?
Yeah.
All right, there are new tomatoes planted. If it doesn't rain, kind of looks like rain, but we need to water them in. So we might wait for it to rain tonight. If it doesn't rain, we'll water them in the morning. All right. Okay, and the other thing going on in this garden is see how these squash plants are producing great. I did a little surgery on them. I took out the squash vine borer. But they are getting tired. They're only going to last a certain amount of time and produce well. So, there's some more he's producing. A couple more, good. But I planted 2 more new ones. right there. I just did them in little pots and seed, where a place where I could see them every day and keep them moist, and yet they were still in mostly sunshine. So we have some new ones there. Yep. Our grapevines are producing. They're called muscadine grapes, and there they are, and they're going to turn purple color, and they taste just like grape jelly. Don't get me wrong, they have seeds in them, big seeds.
Very good too.
They are very good. So they have big seeds, but we can definitely, sift out the seeds and make them into wonderful grape jelly.
How
So it's
are these still green? Seriously, it's been like 2,000 weeks.
grapevines love the heat. Love the heat. Okay, what else have we got going on in our garden? We have this mystery plant that's growing up on our trellis. Not sure what that is. I think it's cantaloupe. We have a lot of butternut squash coming on. So that is awesome. Butternut squash is a little different than your regular squashes like zucchini and yellow squash in that it doesn't have a hollow stem. It has a hard stem. So a lot of the times the squash vine borer will avoid it, especially if you have like zucchini right next door to it. It'll leave your butternut squash alone. So hopefully we'll get a good crop of that. It looks good. The watermelon is finally really taking off. Eli's very excited about that. It was his idea to do watermelon, which takes a lot of room in the garden. But our huge sunflower is kind of collapsing.
Kind of already broken off.
Yeah, it kind of broke, see? It got so big, so I think I'm going to have to cut some of these off. That'll be my job for Monday.
But look at all this watermelon.
We have Egyptian, and we have a rabbit in the garden. There it is. Oh, did you guys see it? I have a wild rabbit.
It's not Burton, it's baby.
Yeah, we have a wild rabbit in the garden.
There's Burton right there.
So, eating our vegetables, and we can't get it scared out, so I think I'm going to have to live trap it and transplant it somewhere else. Eli, don't chase it. We don't even have the garden gate open, so don't chase it right now. It'll just scare it. This is Egyptian spinach. Let me back up so I can see.
Get in here.
Show you exactly how big it is. Go stand by the Egyptian spinach so I can show them how big it is. We need to get after that rascally rabbit and chase him out of the garden. Bye. Happy
Rabbit chasing and
tomato growing. Good luck getting your new tomatoes in.
garden
And
watering.
I hope you have a beautiful PR department in front of your garden.